Atalanta make it 14 games in a row unbeaten in all competitions. It doesn't matter what you throw at them. It doesn't matter if they're home, away, Serie A, Champions League. It doesn't matter what you throw at them. They come out on top even when they rotate and they rest some of their best players against a team, against an opposition like Milan. They still come out on top. They still find a way to win the game. So the $1 million question is, and there's always a question when speaking about Serie A, the $1 million question is, can Gasperini keep it up? Can he do the impossible and win Atalanta the Scudetto whilst competing against the teams Napoli, Antonio Conte, 1 game a week Napoli, 1 game a week Antonio Conte. He's probably the best manager in the world when it comes to having 1 game a week. Inter, the champions of last year. Inzaghi, he's shown the whole world what he's capable of. But this Atalanta team, they're like a breath of fresh air. Because the football they play, in my opinion, is the best in Serie A. But when it comes to Gasperini, this is a manager that's managed over 400 games for Atalanta. And the beautiful thing is, he's won over 50% of them in comfortable fashion. In my opinion, one of the best managers in the world at developing players. When you look at the Atalanta squad, there's a lot of players that, when they were signed, they were surplus to requirements at their former employers. Players that were signed with a point to prove, a statement to make. And when you look at them this season, at the start of the season, you lose one of your best players in Scamacca. You lose Scalvini towards the end of the season, but he finds a way to integrate players into the winning formula. You're looking at Retegui, 12 goals this season. You're looking at Ademola Lookman, 8 goals, 4-5 assists. The match winner against Milan. Gasperini is one of the best player developing managers in the world in the history of the game. And he shows it season after season after season. But can Gasperini do it? I look at Atalanta this season and I see a team that's on form. A team that's building momentum. A team that's got sky high confidence. I kid you not. I feel like Atalanta at the moment, no matter who you put up against them, they can beat them. And they've got so many talented players, even off the bench. HAJJ, a player that they signed from Udinese. What a player. In my opinion, he came off the bench today and he changed the game. That directness, that technical security in the final third. A player that's constantly looking to pass and move, pass and move, pass and move. But you could see with Atalanta, they put the firepower. Retegui, Lookman, HAJJ. These are all players that can score. These are all players that can contribute. The play style is dominant. The 3-4-1-2, it's dominant on the ball. It's very, very, very physical and aggressive off the ball. Atalanta are one of the worst teams to come up against. And in my opinion, Gasperini, as wild as this may sound, Gasperini might have to take it on the chin and sabotage one of the competitions. The Coppa Italia, the Champions League. They're unbeaten. They've only conceded 1 goal. But I feel like eventually, in order for Atalanta to keep this up, in order to give these players the necessary rest, in order to have time to rotate, Atalanta might have to sabotage one of those competitions. Juggling 3 competitions where you're now being forced to play every 3-4 days, it's difficult. Especially when competing against Napoli, 1 game a week. Inter, who have been there, done it before. They're the champions of last year. They've got the squad to juggle too. Gasperini, if he wants to keep up this dream of winning the Scudetto, he might have to sabotage one of those competitions. But at the moment, they're full of form, and no matter who you throw against them, they manage to get the job done. But Milan, I feel like I haven't spoken on Milan in such a long time. Fonseca, 2 steps forward, 3 steps backwards. You never know what you're getting from Milan. That's the best way to describe them this season. You never ever know. There was a period, Rafa Leao was out of the picture, being forced to come off the bench. Literally, he was used like an impact player, but now he's forced his way into the starting 11. And I feel like he had a very good first half today. But when you look at Milan, it's a roller coaster. It's up, down, up, down, up, down. When you look at the system, are the players familiar with the system? I don't think so. When I look at Milan this season, I just see a team that has individual quality, and these players are capitalizing on it. These players are going out there and winning the game by themselves. Because when I look at Milan off the ball, the press, is it the most structured? No, not at times. Is it the most cohesive? No, not at times. The team on the ball, it can be dysfunctional. I look at their best players. I've always said, judge a manager by how they utilize and what they get out of their best players, their stars. Rafa Leao. I've seen better versions of Rafa Leao. The treatment of Rafa Leao this season for me is very questionable. He's your best player. If you're going to drop Rafa Leao for a period of time, you better make sure you win week in, week out. But Milan weren't winning. It was still up and down. The only player that I could probably credit Fonseca for this season is Reinders. Being one of the best midfielders in the world. Playing a bit more advanced, a bit more closer to goal. That technical security, that ball striking, that creativity in the final third. But I feel like today against Atalanta, that relentless press, that energy in the centre of the park, he didn't really get onto the ball as much. But when it comes to Milan, it's a very up and down season. There's not much consistency. You lose your best player of the season in Christian Pulisic to an injury today. What does the future hold for Milan? What does the future hold for Fonseca? I really feel like he hasn't got control of the changing room, as wild as it may sound. I look at the team and I feel like maybe 25-30% of these players are on his side, but the rest aren't. The rest are more questioning his management and his management style and his approach. And they're looking at the results. One day good, one day bad, one day good, one day bad. The pressure will mount on Fonseca because at the end of the day, it's a team like Milan, a team that won the Scudetto just a few years ago, a team that has good players. Fair enough, when it comes to the recruitment over the summer, I've got my own question marks over it, but it's a team that should be performing and doing way better than it is. But touching on the game, Atalanta 2, Milan 1. Atalanta make it 14 games unbeaten. I feel like both teams could have performed way better, but what matters most is who secures the 3 points? Who scores more goals than the opposition? You're not going to play champagne football every single week. But these are the games where the top teams, the top managers earn their bread and butter. And I feel like with Atalanta, the substitutions rejuvenated them. They gave them that extra bit of quality, that extra bit of energy in the dying minutes of the game. But when you look at it, the Keteleare, literally a player that was questioned day and night. Maldini was questioned. You can even make a case he lost his job. People looked at the recruitment. People questioned the amount of money that was paid to Club Brugge for De Ketelaere. But he's rejuvenated. He's a completely different player under Gasperini. He puts Atalanta in the lead. Rafa Leao, it was pinpoint accuracy on his left foot. Onto the boot of Morata, 1-1. The dying minutes. Emerson Royal for me was always a questionable signing because he showed me at Tottenham he was not good enough for the top level for a top team. And Milan are a bigger team that compete for way bigger honours than Tottenham. But he showed at Tottenham he wasn't good enough. He showed at Barcelona he wasn't good enough. And he showed at Real Betis he wasn't good enough. To go and pay £15 million roughly for Emerson Royal, who, in my opinion, going from Tottenham to Milan is a step up. It's an upgrade. He didn't earn that upgrade. He failed at Tottenham and earned an upgrade. He is not good enough, especially to be the Calabria replacement. Calabria was the one player that everybody looked at Milan and thought, time for you to be phased out. You can't be starting week in, week out, but then for the replacement to be Emerson Royal. He's shown this incompetence throughout his career. He's had a few good games at Milan, but every pro player does. No matter how bad you are, you've always got those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 good games in your locker. But Emerson Royal, it's questionable. It's questionable recruitment. He is not good enough for Milan. And you could see with the Ademola Lookman goal, he's just asleep at the back post. He doesn't check his shoulders. He has no idea where Lookman is. And he just goes in from behind. It's definitely a goal that Milan should have stopped, and they should have walked out of it with a 1-1 draw. But Atalanta secured the 3 points. Now, if you're new, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to let me know what you think in the comments. Catch you guys on another one.